back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. After several legal battles, Supreme Court upholds election of Kano, Sokoto, Bauchi and Plateau state governors in the March 2019 governorship election. Main opposition People's Democratic Party holds protest rally in Abuja against the Supreme Court verdict, which ousted Emeka Ihedioha as governor, while Imo APC holds solidarity rally in support of Governor Hope Uzodinma. President Muhammadu Buhari attends inaugural UK-Africa Economic Summit, seeks Britain's support in extraditing fugitives to answer corruption charges, and spread of coronavirus in China increases, more than 200 cases and 3 deaths recorded. Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others, so do subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or you can download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. That's not all. You can watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku as well. Now let's look outside our shores. President Muhammadu Buhari is participating in the ongoing inaugural session of the UK-Africa Investment Summit in London. The president joined other African leaders, international business chief executives, and heads of international organizations for the summit, hosted by the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Aside to the summit, the president also met with Mr. Johnson on the sidelines, where he discussed development issues, including the country's strides in agriculture, security, and the fight against corruption. Our London correspondent Juliana Olainka reports.
Britain and Africa, presenting a united front to the rest of the world like never before. "20 heads of state, business leaders, young entrepreneurs, and senior figures within the geopolitical landscape, all invited to meet with Prime Minister Boris Johnson with an aim to create a modern, more prosperous relationship between Africa and the world's 5th largest economy. UK-Africa trade currently stands at an estimated £33 billion.
Africa is the future, and the UK has a huge and active role to play in that future.
Under the leadership of former UK Prime Minister Theresa May, Britain promised to be the largest G7 investor on the continent by 2022. That's just 2 years' time. In Nigeria and Ghana alone, British business is worth an estimated £82 million and is expected to increase significantly. State governors and business leaders from across Nigeria were in attendance and are positive about Britain's pledges.
I'm particularly thrilled by the Prime Minister's speech. He clearly made it open that there are opportunities for investment in Africa, as well as opportunities for balance of trade between UK and Africa.
Realize that whilst all fingers are not equal, some are actually just taller than the others. And he had actually also said that there's really no exclusivity anywhere.
If we're able to bring in investors, more investors, it will lead to the economic development of the state. When there's economic development, it will translate to individual prosperity.
I think post-Brexit, the British government needs more emphasis on Africa. And considering what one has seen by way of the organization behind what we are witnessing here now, clearly Britain takes Africa very seriously.
In just 11 days, Britain will be leaving their biggest trading bloc, the European Union. And of course, they've got to find new investment elsewhere. I would say the summary of today is that Britain is willing and ready to do billion-dollar business deals with Africa. Juliana Olayinka, reporting for Channels Television News in London.
To discuss the significance of the summit to Nigeria and other African countries, I'm now being joined live from Abuja by a development economist, Professor Ken Ife. Thanks a lot for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're welcome. Now, the UK Prime Minister says Africa is the future. You heard him there. But why do you think they're looking to Africa now? I mean, they're yet to finalize this exit from the EU. Why now?
No, I mean, we have always been on the wings. Don't forget that we have historical relationships with United Kingdom, not least the Commonwealth. So it's an opportunity that we've been waiting. And I think that both parties, I'm talking about Nigeria, both parties, Nigeria and Britain, have a lot to bring to the table. And I think it's a momentous opportunity for Nigeria to try test this new policy of Nigeria first and foreign policy and trade first. So if we can do that, that means that we should now be looking very strongly at what both parties are bringing to the table. We have our oil, we have our gas, we have our mining resources, and they can give us comfort with a guaranteed trade on oil, gas, and those, so that we can plan very, very effectively. But of course, the greatest potential, as far as I see, is that there is the opportunity for Nigeria to negotiate a comprehensive deal with Britain that deals both on trade in goods and trade in services. Goods, I've just mentioned one example, but in trade in services, we are strong in telecommunication, Nollywood, investment. City of London is one of the biggest financial centers in the world, and all the monies we need for our infrastructure development can be syndicated by the City of London. So it is investment. And if we have education, the highest population, over 1 million Nigerians in the UK, much more than the rest of sub-Saharan African countries put together. So we have serious case for going for a direct bilateral trade deal with Britain. And I know South Africa is heading in that direction. So we should be mindful of the fact that the opportunity is for us to do both, trade in services and trade in goods, and close that deal. And after all, Theresa May in 2018 promised that by 2024, UK would be the biggest trading partner to Africa. And already over $8 billion trade between Nigeria and Britain. That could double, that could triple, depending on the kind of deal that we'll come out with.
Okay, so Prof, I know you've talked about the benefits, and you've talked about the fact that it's timely. But how do we hone in what we want to Nigeria's current economic situation? Usually you have a broad menu and then you talk about things broadly. But to be able to actually achieve something in the short term, low-hanging fruits, as they say, how are we going to hone in to our current situation right now?
Okay, first of all, is a general direction, which I have just painted. Let us focus seriously on doing a bilateral deal with them, irrespective of what else we'll be talking about, a continental deal. After all, Nigeria didn't sign the European Economic Partnership Agreement. We didn't sign it. Even if we had signed it, it's merely about trade in goods. They haven't even come to negotiating trade in services. Even the African Continental Free Trade Area is really about goods. We are yet to enter into implementation and enter to trade in services. But Nigeria is so ripe in their relationship with Britain in particular. Look at foreign direct remittance. $26 billion from remittance of the African diaspora. A lot of them are coming from England. You go and analyze capital importation. Last year, in second quarter, 8.5 billion capital importation. And out of that, 4.5 billion was from UK, 1.5 billion from US. So what I'm saying is this: we have a peculiar standing with United Kingdom, and we should exploit it to the fullest. We have a long list of infrastructure that we need to be done in rail, in roads, in maritime. We have a long list, and I'm aware of that. And that list, we can take that to the capital market in the city, and they can help us in organizing investment. That is a business both parties are going to smile to. And then, of course, with education, we have by far the greatest number of students from African origin in UK, over 1 million residents in Nigerian residents in UK, more than the rest of Africa put together. And then we have trade, obviously, as I've said, 8 billion in trade. And we have our banks, some of our banks are in UK. We have Nollywood, we have most services sectors are active between the two parties. So we must use this opportunity to move and close in a comprehensive bilateral deal. And then the rest of it will be history. It's a momentous opportunity.
All right. Thank you so much, development economist Professor Ken Ife, for joining us on the news at 10 tonight. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We're going to stay in Abuja, but this time let's hand over now to Ibrahim Adra, my colleague. Hey, Ibrahim.
Hey, Ijama, thank you for joining us in the nation's capital. Now, we begin from Katsina with a rather sad story coming from that end, where no fewer than 17 persons have been killed and 14 others seriously injured in an accident involving a truck along the Mai-Adua-Shargali Road. Katsina State Police Authority said the driver of the truck, laden with cattle heading for Lagos, lost control and rammed into the passenger buses, forcing the truck head to lose control before it fell off the bridge. The police commissioner, Sanusi Buba, described the incident as unfortunate, added that he has already summoned a meeting with all relevant stakeholders of the transport industry in the state. Meanwhile, in Lagos, 5 persons, including a 5-year-old, have been confirmed killed in a massive blaze caused by oil pipeline explosion at the Ilepo axis of Alimosho local government area of the state. According to residents of the area, the explosion was as a result of the activities of vandals who allegedly burst a fuel pipeline to siphon fuel. Our correspondent Olu Phillips visited the scene of the explosion.
Sea of heads, curious, contemplations, discussions, they all seem to have the same invitation, the aftermath of a devastating evening fire. Some wondered, others just watched by. Evidences of the inferno abound all around hours after the fire has been put out. Shops, houses, cars, trucks, anything and everything in the way of the raging fire got burnt. As expected also, there's a heavy presence of security operatives. Hours after, especially the ones saddled with protecting the pipelines and its right of way. Right there in the middle of an open ground, now regarded as ground zero, is the point of vandalism which has since been sealed up. Isn't it heartbreaking to learn how brazen these vandals have become in broad daylight? Different strokes for different folks. Some guys are already scavenging for iron and other materials they can find and sell. Let's turn our attention to officials who should be concerned. Oil and petroleum products are a critical asset in Nigeria, both as a revenue earner and necessary utility. That perhaps justifies the presence of the country's oil chief, who flew in with all top management team, and he has some strong words.
We agree completely that there are compromised people within the NNPC, compromised people within the security agencies, within the communities, and everyone that is involved in this. And what we have done in the last 2 to 3 months is to work with these agencies and the NNPC to make sure that we take the bad elements out of us, we resolve the issues, and we delete them. Let me use the right word to do it. Now, if we have to delete them, we'll delete them. And that's what's going to happen. And for communities who harbor this, the warning is this, that this will constitute danger to all of us. But those who are particularly involved in siphoning petroleum products or laying pipes into their homes, His Excellency Lagos State Government, and including the Lagos State Government, have agreed that we'll take out these houses. Whoever owns it, whatever they do, once we establish that your property is involved in this, we'll take it out.
The residents invariably appear helpless in spite of the call on them to enlist in the citizens' army.
We are still seeking the assistance of the government that they should be able to sit up and fight all these people involved in such illegal activity.
Remember, see that one.
3 times in less than 2 months. Same local government, same incidents, vandals struck, fire erupts, and destruction of life and property follows. Hopefully, for once, we will see real actions from authorities which deters and punishes offenders, one which will be made public. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
Many thanks, Olu. When the news at 10 returns, spread of coronavirus in China increases with more than 200 cases and 3 deaths recorded. And that's coming from our London bureau in Around the World in 5. Do join us again.